So what about the staple diet, the lunch and the dinner in general?
Yep. So I would say for lunch and dinner, lots of people go out to eat at a place called Chachanteng. So it's
Say
a
it slowly, say it clearly.
okay.
Yeah.
So in Cantonese, it's Cha Chanteng.
Chachan, sorry.
Cha Chanteng.
Okay.
It's literally tea restaurant.
Okay. Tea restaurant.
Yeah, tea restaurant.
So it's not like that there like Hong Kong people eat cockroaches or anything like that. They do?
We don't.
Okay.
We don't.
You don't eat any insects.
We don't eat insects, I would say.
That is a major misconception.
Yeah.
Like many Indians have, I would
Yeah.
say. So, but there is pork, there is beef, I would
Yeah.
say, and but you don't eat dogs, right?
We don't. And it's illegal. It's
Please,
illegal.
please, good that you pointed it out. Oh yeah.
Yeah, dim
I'm
sum.
sorry.
And
What
also
are the,
street
that's
food.
a cultural dish, right?
Dim sum is in general like lots of dishes. So dim sum is when you go to Chinatown, you can usually get dim sum because that's what you can have here, and you have these steamed dumplings.
Okay.
Or you have some that come to my mind are like shrimp dumplings. We call it hagao.
Are those spicy?
And those are not spicy.
So what's the taste?
It tastes. I know it tastes really good. It's savory.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Siddhiraj again, and this is the season 2 of In Today's Menu. And we are international this time. And I'm in UK right now. And firstly, I would like to utterly be grateful and thankful to all the people who up till here have supported me in season 1. There were a lot of people in the background elsewhere supporting and helping in all other aspects, may it be camera handling and everything. So I'm really thankful for them and have a deep gratitude for all of the people I know who have helped me, and I thank them for all the support. And then now about season 2. It will be an international season. I'm right now in a university in UK. I have many of my friends from various countries, from backgrounds. And here, right now, this episode is going to be about food culture from various countries and regions around the world. And maybe it's a high possibility that season 2 will be in English. Of course, there will be some episodes here and there in Hindi, but very less for sure. And on the other side, this is another segment which I told, which is food and culture. And today, I have a friend of mine from Hong Kong. His name is Alvin.
Hello.
And today, we will be discussing about the food and culture in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And welcome everybody. So let's dive into the episode. And I welcome you, Alvin. And
thank you.
Thank you
so much for having me here.
Yeah, and thank you so much for giving me your time and like telling us how, and you will be telling us that how the Hong Kong culture would be.
Okay.
Thank you for that. So let's dive into the conversation. Everyone, of course, a lot of people are very curious to know the different cultures, how it works there, how it is. So even I would want to know. We have discussed some pointers which we are going to discuss. Let's see how it goes. So firstly, please tell us a bit about yourself, where you are from, and what do you do here in the university, and let's move ahead then.
So I'm Alvin, and I'm here studying a master's
in
aerospace.
Okay.
So we're quite different.
Yeah, of course. So that is how he's from Hong Kong. So talking about Hong Kong. Of course, we come from the Asian region.
Yep.
So, but still, there is a difference in the Asian region itself as well. So, how is it in Hong Kong? There are more spices in Hong Kong.
I would say in Hong Kong there isn't many spices. So Hong Kong we have food from different countries around the world, and it's more like a hub of having different styles of cuisines and stuff.
Do you know who Hong Kong was under whose rule before? Probably the Japanese.
As you mean Hong Kong?
Colonial rule, yeah.
Hong Kong was a colony of British.
With that, if the British had a colonial rule over there, so there might be an influence of British people, right, in the food as well.
Yeah, there's plenty of influence, lots of Western influence in the food, and you can see it in everyday life.
Oh, okay. So, could you tell an example with the street food? No, not street food. We'll talk about the street food wholly differently. Let's talk about the staple diet initially. So, in staple diet, let's say talk about breakfast. what are your breakfast items, and how are the initially what are the breakfast items, and second point, how are they influenced by the British people, or let's say Western culture?
Okay. So for breakfast, I would like put out two items that I think are like really representative. So we have pineapple buns
Okay.
as well as egg tarts.
Okay.
And both of these items, so pineapple buns, the names comes from that. It looks like a pineapple, but in reality, it's not really made from pineapples. It's just the way it looks.
Okay.
It's a sweet bun. And the other thing is egg tart, and egg tart is more of like a pastry, but then you have eggs in there, like as in a kind of like a egg topping,
All right.
kind of
all
like
right.
egg pudding topping on the tart.
Is it good? Like, it's very sweet or something?
Both of them are sweet, but then I won't say it's like very sweet. It's
Okay.
just
Mildly sweet.
mildly sweet, yeah.
Okay. What are the items? Do you know? What items do you have generally for breakfast?
So generally, I do have pineapple buns,
Okay.
but then since they're relatively high in sugar, so sometimes I have cereal and other stuff.
So cereal is a Western food, I suppose, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
you could say
It's
that.
not from Hong Kong.
It's not from Hong Kong. So I have, so because we have everything, so that's what I also get for breakfast.
Okay. And what do you think about this thing? Like, what does your mother have for breakfast, or your father have for breakfast?
They have oatmeal.
Oatmeal
Oatmeal.
every day.
Yeah, because it's healthier.
Oh, okay.
So that's what they have.
Don't people in Hong Kong get bored by having similar kind of a food for breakfast every day? Because
I
at
would
least
say,
in India, it's
yeah.
like one day you're having a poha. I have explained you what's poha.
Yeah,
So having a poha, the second day may be idli, the third day may be a missile kind of a thing.
yeah.
So how does it work in Hong Kong?
Like there's two types of people. There's one type that eats at home.
Okay.
Then you get like you have your breads that you might have bought last night. You have oat milk, but then there's another type that where you go outside and eat.
Okay.
And when you go outside and eat, you can get a lot of other stuff. So you can get instant noodles for breakfast.
Okay.
That's a thing here. You can get congee. That's also common.
What's congee?
Congee is rice, but instead of just having rice cooked, you keep cooking it in water, and it kind of turns into I would say kind of like a stew.
That
but
might
then
be a
it's
different
thicker.
kind of rice, right? A Hong Kong kind of a rice.
You still use the typical rice.
Okay.
So usually in Hong Kong, we actually have rice from Thailand.
Okay. So you import rice from
Yeah,
Thailand?
import rice because I think there's also Chinese rice, but then I would say majority of it is from, because in Hong Kong it's a very small place and there's very few farmlands and there's
true.
virtually no farming, so we import all our stuff.
Okay. So that's with that import, you may be having high import from the West.
Yeah,
So there
yeah,
will
that's
be
why,
high amount of Western food in the
yeah,
breakfast.
because if you're importing from like nearby country, you might as well import from further places. So you can literally find everything there.
All right. So what about the staple diet, the lunch and the dinner in general?
Yep. So I would say for lunch and dinner, lots of people go out to eat at a place called Cha Chan Teng. So it's a
Say it slowly. Say it clear.
okay.
Yeah.
So in Cantonese, it's Cha Chan Teng.
Cha chan. Sorry.
Cha Chan Teng.
Okay.
It's literally tea restaurant.
Okay. Tea restaurant.
Yeah, tea restaurant. And it's a very local thing. So instead of saying like what dishes they have, it's more like in general the style of dishes they have. So you can find stuff anything from instant noodle to steak.
Okay.
But it's more like you can have it all at the same place, and it's everything. It's kind of Hong Kong style. Okay. So there's a twist in there.
So it's like if you have French fries, for example.
Yep.
So it will be given a Hong Kong touch, and a Hong Kong touch or like a spice or something like that, and that will be served to you.
More like you will get French fries, but then you won't have it in other, like in some places you have it with a sauce, and in some places you might have like special toppings on there.
Yeah,
we
that's
have fries, but then usually the fries come with, let's say, a French toast.
Okay.
So French toast, we have our style French toast. It's kind of similar to the way they make it elsewhere, but then we usually have peanut butter in there, and that's how I would say like there's our twist in the dish.
Okay, all right. Yeah, what about the lunch? The homemade lunch. What are the dishes? Homemade dishes.
For homemade lunches, I would say there isn't much because most people go to work and they dine out, like they eat outside during their lunch break.
Okay.
And it's very uncommon to bring your lunch. But if they do bring lunch, it's usually sandwiches, maybe, or very common, I would say, is that they bring what's left over from yesterday's dinner.
Oh.
But
Okay.
then I would still say that's not what people typically do. They usually just go outside and eat.
Okay. So what are these dishes which are made home, which are like had in the tiffin or like bought from last night? What are the dishes?
It really depends on what the family wants to cook. So you could have anything.
What would a typical Hong Kong family cook?
It's hard to like put it in words because like everyone eat different stuff. But I would like off my head, I would say steamed fish.
Okay.
That's something. You have just stir-fried vegetables, and it's hard to say. Like other stuff, you could have chicken, you could have beef. Like there's lots of stuff.
Okay.
So it's more like what their preference is and what they ordered. Or either they ordered takeaway or like they cooked it themselves.
And what does your family cook in that case? If you're having a dinner or lunch
Let's say if I do have, I would say
in at home, you're not
at
dining
home.
out. Yeah.
At home, there's one that's commonly made. It's tomato and what is that called? Tomato and scrambled eggs.
Okay. Cool.
So that's one of them. And I would say we usually have stir fried choy sum. It's a type of vegetable that's
Okay.
very common here, as in Hong Kong.
No.
And usually these two. And sometimes we might mix in some takeaway. So like you buy just as in just the dish itself and you cook your own rice.
Okay.
In some case, I would have barbecue pork. But then these are like more complicated dishes that you don't make at home. So that's why you buy it from outside and you just
So you
add it.
people
Yes.
also have ready to eat kind of a thing, right?
Not really.
Okay.
Because I would say Hong Kong is so small
Okay.
and you could literally walk to a restaurant. It only takes like 1 or 2 minutes and there's like over 10 choices. So we don't have it like frozen food and like prepped food is not really common here because it's just easier to go downstairs and get something fresh.
Okay.
Then like if you can walk 3 minutes to a pizza store, why would you buy frozen pizza? And not everyone has a oven at home because
Okay.
houses here are small.
Okay. So like, but you had when we were having a talk before, you had told me that it's not easily affordable to go out every day.
It depends on where you're going. So if you're going to Cha San Heng or like I mean, these places are more affordable. And but then we don't classify them as restaurants. It's more like
Cafe
the
kind of
corner
a-
store.
Yeah.
You think of it that way. So the prices are a lot more affordable.
Kind of a convenience store kind of a thing, but in restaurant.
Yeah, like you have seating, you have someone to serve you, but then it's not formal at all. People go there with t-shirts, shorts, sandals. It's not a restaurant at all. It's more like just a place to eat.
Okay.
Think of it as going to McDonald's.
Okay.
It's kind of that level of like of commonality.
Okay, so that goes with the breakfast or the staple diet.
Yep.
And could you name some of the staple diets, general common staple diet you would see any Hong Kong person eating?
I would say one of them would be Chinese style noodles.
Okay.
So you have like what I mentioned earlier, mean. So the English name for it would be cart noodles.
Cartoons.
Cart noodles.
Okay.
So the way it works is that you have your noodle base and then you have your toppings.
Okay.
And you could pick your own noodles. So you have maybe 3 or 4 types of noodles. And you have like 20 ingredients you can pick. Anything from beef to fish balls to vegetables. And you just add like maybe like 3 toppings to your noodle. And then that's your bowl.
Okay.
So that is like really, I would say, quite common. And it's also relatively affordable.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I have one question though. Okay. So it's like I have heard a lot, like it's everywhere, it's evident that Chinese, Hong Kong, or Japanese people eat with chopsticks.
Yeah.
How's the case in Hong Kong?
Chopstick is very common.
Okay.
That's what we used to when we grow up, and that's what we use. So almost everywhere you can find chopsticks, except of like, let's say, a high-end Western dining cuisine, except those. Everywhere else you can find chopsticks.
Okay, so it's like it's in the culture, right?
Yeah, it's in the culture.
So
definitely.
from very start.
Yeah,
So
from
do
the
you have
very
any
start.
idea about how did chopstick come in, or like why do you use chopsticks or something like that?
I don't think there's an explanation for that. It's more like that's what we're used to, and it's been here before I was born, and it's just been passed along this tradition.
A genuine question. So why not in high-end restaurants?
Because in high-end restaurants, you usually have steak
Okay.
or like pasta, and these places they expect you to use like forks and like
So they
spoons and
don't
stuff.
even offer chopsticks.
I haven't tried asking. Maybe they do have like somewhere hidden behind, but
Since you're
wouldn't
familiar
give-
with the cutlery, you don't think of asking.
yeah, because we're comfortable with all the cutlery, so it's fine.
Okay. Now that was about staple. Like, what about the dessert or sweets?
Dessert of sweets. So I have two that I really want to talk about. So one of them is egg waffle.
Egg waffle.
Egg waffle. So
Egg waffle. Okay.
it's kind of like pancakes,
Okay.
but instead of having it like flat, it's gonna be, how do I say? It's more crunchy and like with a special egg pattern on it. And it's kind of sweet. You can have it in different flavors. You can have it in chocolate, matcha. Some even have strawberries. So it's also a street food, but I would say it's a pretty good dessert as well.
Okay.
And another one would be mango pomelo sago. So that's quite a long name. It's like a mango flavored dessert. It's kind of like a stew, but then with mango juice in it, mango slices, and it's very sweet. And I believe it originates from Hong Kong, and that's one of my favorite as well.
So it's from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can find it anywhere in Hong Kong.
Not really. You have to go to like a dessert store, one that offers Chinese style desserts.
Okay. Cool.
So, because it's kind of like, I would classify as more Eastern than Western. So that's why you have to go to those stores to get it.
Okay. More desserts. Hong Kong desserts, if you have any.
I would say this is the one that represents it all.
Oh.
Like
very
other ones, there are other desserts, but I would think those are like Western or like from China. Like these are like, how do I say? It's more like
from other
places,
not from
Hong Kong.
So
but this one is
those?
from.
Which are those which you can get in Hong Kong?
You could get like most of the, how do we call it? We call it like, you have sesame. I'm not sure what the word for it is. It's basically cooked sweet sesame in like kind of like also like a stew, because most of the Chinese style desserts are like a stew. And then you have ones that are with milk, ginger milk, and those
ginger milk.
Yeah, because like it turns into like kind of like a pudding.
Okay.
That's one of it. And other various forms that are like sugar and water, and with other, I would say, not really fruits, more like dried, kind of like dried fruits, but then these are like very Chinese style stuff.
So then if you say so, these are the dishes. So which is the must try or the best dish of Hong Kong?
As
like
in like
everyone
in general.
Hong Kong, yeah. Most of the people in Hong Kong would like really agree. You might know about biryani.
Yeah.
As I told you. So biryani is like something like, except for the vegetarian people, anyone would agree like to have biryani. Like no one would say a no to biryani. And then I told you there are types of biryanis as well. So chicken biryani is a normal biryani which anyone would generally like to have. So similarly, it's a overall dish, a general dish. Similarly, it's also a dish which is loved. You know that. So similar kind of dishes in Hong Kong.
I would say it's called wonton noodles.
Wonton noodles.
Wonton noodles.
Okay.
And it's one of those that you can find at cart noodle stores.
Okay.
And it's basically a egg noodle.
Okay.
In a soup that usually has fish in it. And then you have wonton on top. And that, I would say, if you ask almost every Hong Konger, I think everyone's gonna agree that's a good dish. It's more like a good noodles, I say.
Okay.
And I think everyone likes it.
Okay.
It's also like very common in popular culture.
Okay.
So if you watch some of the older Hong Kong films, it's gonna be featured in there some way.
Okay.
Yep. And another thing I would say is a drink, and not a as in not something you eat. It's called iced lemon tea.
Okay.
And it's special in that they have their own. You can have this almost everywhere. Almost everywhere. Here's the funny thing: like you can get it from like what I mentioned earlier, like cha chan heng, very like low cost
Could you
place.
repeat that name again? Chachante.
Cha chan heng.
Okay.
You can go from like there all the way to having buffets at hotels. You can still order iced lemon tea.
Okay.
That's
It's a
the
very
thing.
common thing.
It's
from
very
a
common
normal
thing.
restaurant to a high-end
Yes,
restaurant.
you can almost have it everywhere. And what's special about it is that usually they have their own tea blends.
Oh.
So
okay.
instead of like your common black tea or green tea, they have their own blends. Some use Ceylon tea, some have very fancy stuff. You might have Earl Grey mixed with other stuff, and then you have that. You have always have fresh lemons that's added to the tea, and then you have ice.
And lemons are also imported, I suppose.
Yes,
Okay.
also imported.
Yeah.
And I would say that's very common. And I would say not everyone, but then probably half the population at least has one cup of it every day.
Every day.
I would say so.
So it's that common
It's
beverage.
very common.
Okay.
It's very common.
Another some dishes from Hong Kong which are like really liked.
Really light?
Liked, I mean really loud basically. Like I have told you about gulab jamun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so gulab jamun is another sweet. I haven't showed you a photo, but I have told you. So again, it's a dish which, like, a lot of Indians like.
Yeah.
So similar kind of. You told this one. Anything else? Any dessert as well?
Like the one mentioned earlier, like mango pomelo sago.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
lots of people like that as well because you have it in mango, and I think mango is like easily accepted. So it's also like a very popular
But mango
dessert.
is also imported, I suppose.
Yes.
Okay.
Everything's imported, I would say.
Oh.
You have very few like organic stuff that might come from Hong Kong itself, but then most of the stuff are imported.
Do you know what are the few stuffs?
There are some organic vegetables, cabbage maybe, but those are like very few numbers.
Okay.
So you have to go to like farmers market to maybe even have the chance to see it.
Oh.
So, but then most of the stuff
So
come
it's like
imported.
it's that kind of a city. Hong Kong is that kind of a city. Proper
Yeah,
city.
it's actual city.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not large. Think of it as London. It's basically London, the size of London,
Okay.
and it's I would say like half of it. It's like sky rises and stuff,
Okay.
and the others are like country parks. It's like really mountainous terrain, hilly terrain.
Okay.
So there's very few land that can be farmed on.
Okay. So now you talked about restaurants, those like that restaurant and the high-end restaurant as well. So how do generally restaurants operate in Hong Kong? Like I'll tell you about India, so you'll get an idea. So there is a cafe, and there is a small shop, and there is a self-service shop. Then there is a small restaurant kind of a thing. Then there is a high-end restaurant like everyone has. There is a normal, like a middle restaurant, and then there is a dhaba as well. I told you what dhaba is, the roadside hotels, and a normal hotel as well. A hotel and a restaurant connected together, 3, 4, 5. So it's like generally very normal in India that you go to a restaurant, you order something, and you get it.
Yeah.
That's it. But as I had learned in my previous podcast, that in Japan there are 3 types of restaurants. One is like a self-service restaurant, a partial self-service restaurant, and a full self-service restaurant. That is how it is. So how does it operate in Hong Kong?
I think in Hong Kong, I would split it into 3 types. So you have your fast food that's self-serviced. So basically, you go up to a counter, you order what you want, and then you take your own tray, and then you like wait for take a number, and then you get your own tray.
So it's McD.
You find,
It's McD.
As in,
It's McD, right? The fast food restaurant.
you mean Magli?
McD. McDonald's.
Oh yeah, kind of like McDonald's, like, but then these also extend to other types of food. So you can have like noodles that are like that. You can have rice places that are also like that. That's one type. Another type will be, so the other two are gonna be surfaced, but then there's one that's, I would say, more lower end. That's what you have, like your cha chan teng. You have like going outside. Usually, dim sum. So dim sum places are also kind of served.
Yeah, but still, tell people what is dim sum.
I'm gonna go into that later.
Okay, cool.
So, but then these places are like surfaced, where you find they're gonna take you to a seat and then they're gonna serve you. But then these are like without many like formal rules. So t-shirt, sandals, that's fine. It's just somewhere to eat, but then it's serviced. Then you have your, I would say, higher end restaurants where you kind of expected to like wear a bit more fancier, as in not like very fancy, but at least not sandals.
Okay.
And then you have those are also served.
Uh-huh.
And I would say in general you find these three types of restaurants.
Okay. So, which are the famous restaurants? Like, if you enter Hong Kong, you will hear about that restaurant for sure.
Really?
Yeah, it's like if you go in, let's say Pune or let's say Mumbai, anywhere, there are, of course, you might, from me, you have heard a JW Marriott. It's a hotel
Okay.
in Mumbai, so it's like a very high end hotel. So except for that, there are some popular places as well in Mumbai where it's the it may be chole. You have heard chole bhature from me?
Maybe.
Yeah, chickpeas kind of a thing,
Oh, yeah.
and then a bread which is called as puri.
Yeah.
So chole bhature, that is one dish. So you get chole bhature really good at Udupi. Udupi is a restaurant. Udupi is a restaurant chain or a restaurant in Mumbai. So that's a very good famous restaurant again. So if you check out in London, so if you check anyone, sorry, not in London, if you check out in Cranfield, most Indian people, if you see, they will suggest you one restaurant called Spice Curry. Oh, sorry, not Spice, Crispy Dosa. So Crispy Dosa is now a famous restaurant amongst Indians if you want to go out. So you will hear it. So some of the very like famous places in case of restaurant in Hong Kong, and some restaurants which are famous for one particular dish. So two things. Yeah, please tell me.
Oh, that's a good question, because off my mind I can't like think of any restaurants, because I would say many restaurants serve similar stuff.
Okay.
So
So it's not a big much of a difference.
it's not much
So
difference.
how is the competition amongst restaurants? How do restaurants
Compete?
compete or catch crowd then?
Usually, I would say in terms of price, maybe.
Okay.
So some of them are more expensive, but the funny thing is that if it's more expensive, people might think it's actually better, so more people go there. There's the funny thing.
It's never the truth, but in
Yeah.
case of the food, I would say, yeah.
So I would say you can get similar food, as in if you go to a cart noodle store in Hong Kong Island, you go to one that's in Kowloon. These are like completely different places, but then they're gonna serve about the same thing.
On the other side, so by the way, the second question. So where it's like, which restaurants are famous for one particular dish? Could you tell anyone? So there is example. There is a place which is famous for example dim sum. So dim sum, the best dim sum you get in Hong Kong is at this place.
That's a good question.
Okay.
I must have went here for too long because I can't remember any restaurants' names right now.
Okay.
But I would say go through maybe any of the tourist books. You're gonna find a lot. And I've been like when I was on vacation elsewhere.
We'll
like,
talk about the tourist books later, huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Please tell me.
But when I flip through those, when I see those names, those are like good names that I can recognize. But off my mind right now, I can't recall any of them.
Okay, cool. So the tourist books are helpful, I would say.
Yeah, I would say it's helpful.
Yeah. So let's say, what about the spices in Hong Kong?
Spices.
Yeah.
So in terms of spice,
Mind that Hong Kong again is a Asian part.
yeah.
So how does the spice thing work over there? Does
So-
Hong Kong have its own spices? Or?
We don't have our own spices. So unlike in India where you get like lots of spices, we don't really have that.
Okay.
But I would say a spicy thing that's really like common would be chili oil. Chili oil. So
Chili
like
oil, yeah.
they cook chili, like very big pot of chili, and they keep cooking it, and then you get like this red oil, and it's really spicy, and you could get it like you can have it with a lots of food, lots of types of food,
Okay.
and I like to have it with like fish balls and stuff.
So the chili oil.
Chili oil,
So just chili oil. What else?
basically only chili oil, because
So
we don't
so
eat
it
lots
would
of
be-
spicy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but it would be a similar kind of a taste everywhere because of
Yes.
chili oil.
I mean, you don't have it with every dish. It's more like it's kind of like a dipping sauce.
Okay.
But then
What
we-
about salt and pepper? Western influence.
Yeah,
So you have salt and pepper.
yeah, we do.
Okay. So that's it. Salt, pepper, chili oil.
If you say in terms of spices, I would say
Pretty much.
Pretty
That's it.
much
That
that,
sums
yeah.
it up.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it would be very hard for us people if we come and stay in Hong Kong to like get. Are there any Indian restaurants in Hong Kong? Probably
There
there
are
might be.
plenty. There are plenty of them.
Okay, so yeah, have you tried Indian food?
I guess so.
Okay, where? How? What other dishes which you have tried?
You mean as in Indian food?
Yeah, of course.
I've tried biryani.
Okay, how do you find
And
it? Well, it's very much spicy.
like maybe it's like slightly tuned to local culture, so it's not that spicy.
Okay, so your that spice level is tolerable for you.
Yeah, it's fine for me.
Okay, did you
Like
like biryani?
yeah, I like it.
Okay.
But then in terms of spice, I think you can get spicy food, but then it's gonna be like cuisines from other places. So like you have Sichuan, like those are like spicy stuff, but then it's more like you're having that cuisine instead of like a local spice.
Okay, so that's imported spice.
Kind of, yeah. You can
Where
say
does
it's
it come
imported.
from?
It's from China,
Oh,
so like you get the chilies.
okay.
Yeah, they're cooked there. Like they
Like
get it from there.
60-70% of things in Hong Kong are imported, I suppose.
More like 99%.
That includes food and spices.
Yeah.
All right, okay. So, have you tried using Indian spices in Hong Kong food anytime?
I haven't tried that.
Okay, cool. Then the taste might be different sometime.
Maybe.
Okay, you should try that. What are the Indian dishes which you have tried? Except for biryani.
I don't think anything else.
Oh. Hasn't anyone invited you in the university to have a lunch with them sometime? Your learning team or something?
I usually have it with like other Hong Kongers, and we make like Hong Kong dishes, Western dishes, and it's less common for us to get like Indian food.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, Indian food is a bit complicated to make as well anyway. Okay. Now, as we're talking about Indian and Hong Kong food, if suppose I'm a tourist person in Hong Kong, okay,
Yeah.
and so how would you guide me in case of food? What should I be careful about?
To be honest, like Hong Kong is a relatively safe place, and there are very few scams, I would say.
Okay.
As long as the restaurant you see is on street level, and if you don't see a menu outside, you can always just go in and ask for a menu. If they don't provide a menu, that's maybe a bit sketchy, but I would say 90% of the stores are fine, and the prices are clearly listed outside, and we don't have tax in Hong Kong.
Oh.
But usually the restaurants, like if you dine in, they're usually gonna be like a 10% service charge, but then there is no tipping, so you don't have to tip.
Oh.
It's more like
So if suppose I leave a tip, is that a taboo or is that a wrong thing?
it wouldn't be considered a taboo, but at the same time, no one expects you to do it.
Okay.
So, but then if you leave it, they might be happy, but
It's okay. Like even
yeah,
if
you can
don't
just
leave,
skip it. Yeah, I find it's gonna be fine if you just skip it because they have a service charge anyway. They're already like
Okay.
taking that part.
Okay. So yeah, you're talking about the tourist guide, yeah, being a tourist thing. So, what else? What other dishes I should try, or like what other restaurants I should visit? Suppose.
So one thing I find that I haven't mentioned so far that I think they should try is what we call Dai Pai Dong.
It's a cultural dish.
It's more like a how would I say it? It's more like a type of restaurant. So how it
Could you
originates?
please repeat it slowly and clearly?
Yep. So it's a type of restaurant.
What is that?
It originates. So like originally, it's a type of open air food stall. So it's on the side of the road, but then hygiene reasons they're forced to go into stores.
Okay.
But then now they're in stores. What they have is that they have stir fried dishes, and these dishes are harder to find outside, and they usually have what we call Ghodke. And
Have you seen Shinchan?
which one?
Shinchan.
What is that?
It's a anime. Like it's an anime like from Japan telecasted in India.
Okay.
So do you know about that?
Nope.
Do you know Doraemon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in Doraemon, let's say there is a store on the roadside where it's a proper store kind of a thing.
Yeah.
On the roadside.
Yep.
So right? You can just take the curtain off and you just go in and tell him that I want this, I want that, and he'll give you. Similar kind of a thing?
Not really.
Okay.
It's more like how do I say it? How do I put this? You mean as in like historically before?
No,
Or
no,
like
no, no, no. Currently, a street food kind of a thing.
currently it's more like it's just a restaurant.
Okay.
It's just a type of
It's not
restaurant.
a side
It's
thing.
not a stall anymore.
Okay, cool.
And what you have there, but then they kept what they're making.
Mm-hmm.
So usually very stir fry stuff. How would I say? So you get like fried rice, and usually they have lots of seafood as well.
Okay.
So
Seafood is also imported.
yeah, I mean, not all. I would say there because Hong Kong is a seaside city, so we have our own fishermen and stuff.
Okay.
But two things I recommend. One of them is fried oyster cake. This one I really like, and you can.
To a tourist who is coming to Hong Kong.
Yeah, I would recommend they get that. But then the best place to get that is at Dai Pai Dong. Dai
Say that
Pai
again?
Dong.
Okay, Thai Pai Dong.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
because they're gonna be the ones that's most experienced, and it tastes best there,
Okay.
and that's what I recommend.
Okay, and
And also another thing would be clay pot rice.
clay pot rice.
Clay pot rice.
Okay.
So it's basically
By the way, that
Clay
cake
pot.
is sweet, the which you mentioned. No,
no, it's a savory dish.
sorry.
It's a savory dish, as in a salty dish.
Okay. Okay, and the next one.
The next one will be clay pot rice.
Okay.
So it's as the name suggests, it's a clay pot, and then you have rice in there. The special thing is that when they make these, they use a flame on the pot itself, so they heat up the pot, and you get these dried rice flakes on the side of the pot, and they're kind of crunchy, and you can have stuff. You can have different types of toppings, and these are like really popular as well.
So it's spicy or not?
You can have it spicy. You can have it just with soy sauce, salty, but not sweet. It's
Okay.
like it's a savory dish as well.
So it's like a biryani kind of a dish. I mean, how biryani is in India, it's that kind of a dish in Hong Kong, I suppose.
Yeah, you could say so.
Okay. Yeah. What else?
And these two, like these are the ones that I'm gonna recommend
To any tourist who's
to
coming.
any tourists. Yeah, they should try it.
Okay, and that's a major. We have to cover most of the things. Now, a major thing which you and I had talked before. What are the myths and misconceptions about Hong Kong? I'll tell you myths and misconceptions about India itself,
Yeah.
which a lot of my other friends, European friends, told me that Indians only eat curry. So it's not true again. You and I know that. So what is the myth or misconception which people have about Hong Kong, which you would like to clear?
I would say in general, like if you're from a Western culture, like you're gonna see Chinese takeout featured a lot. You get these like white takeaway boxes. That's not a thing.
Okay.
Instead, it has evolved. Like you get stuff like you get polystyrene boxes. You get one of the newer fancy ones where you get a plastic bowl, and then you have soup on the bottom, and then you have like a different layer on top that's only for your noodles. So you can have the noodles and the soup separated when they're delivered. And I would say like that misconception of always having the white box, that's not true.
Okay.
And another thing would be like people think stir fried is the only thing we have.
Stir fry.
Stir fry, because unless you go to Chinatown, all you see is like what is it called, like Panda Express, I think. And then all you get there is like fried rice, fried noodles, but in reality, like there's a lot more types of food, and that's only like a small portion of what we can get.
So it's not like that there like Hong Kong people eat cockroaches or anything like that. They do?
We don't.
Okay.
We don't.
You don't eat any insects.
We don't eat insects, I would say.
That is a major misconception.
Yeah.
Like many Indians have, I would say. But there is pork, there is beef, I would say. And but you don't eat dogs, right?
We don't. And it's illegal. It's illegal.
Please, good that you pointed it out.
I would say think of Hong Kong as like more of a Western city.
Okay, Western influenced city.
Yeah.
Western influenced Asian city.
Yeah, you can think of it that way. It's very heavily influenced by Western culture.
Okay, and you don't eat any insects, any kind of other insects, right?
No, we don't.
Many Indians have such kind of a conception
Yeah.
that everywhere. I don't know about China.
It's like it's some of the cuisines in China. They do have insects, like
Yeah,
fried
of course.
insects,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not in Hong Kong.
Yeah, not in Hong Kong. Do you have any stories regarding any of the food?
Oh, Actually, you want to talk about dim sum? Because we just.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
dim
I'm
sum.
sorry.
And
What are
also
the?
street
That's a
food.
cultural dish, right?
Dim sum is, it's in general like lots of dishes. So dim sum is when you go to Chinatown, you can usually get dim sum because that's what you can have here. And you have these steamed dumplings.
Okay.
Or you have, so some that come to my mind are like shrimp dumplings. We call it hagao.
Are those spicy?
Those are not spicy.
So what's the taste?
It
Bland.
tastes, I know it tastes really good. It's savory.
Okay.
It's like, because the dumpling inside, it has shrimp and it also has pork in it. And you get the meat flavors. And then other than these, you can have, let's say, barbecue pork buns.
Okay.
Sometimes you have sweet stuff, so you could get different types of Chinese cakes that are steamed cakes. And these are sweet. And you can have all sorts of stuff in like a dim sum place. And that's going to be what I recommend. Others to also try as well.
Okay. Any cultural dishes which you wanted to mention? I forgot. Except for dim sum.
Except for, I would say dim sum is the representative here.
Okay. The main president kind of a thing.
Yeah,
Right.
I would say dim sum. If you ask like as you can tell, like dim sum is the thing that's also available outside of Hong Kong.
Okay.
So usually you get the most representable stuff
So
outside.
Hong Kong is something. Sorry. The dim sum is something which is given by Hong Kong to the world.
I wouldn't say it's from.
It's culturally natively from Hong Kong.
It's not like natively from Hong Kong.
Okay.
It's more like Hong Kong, China, these places, like
Okay.
southern east part of China.
Okay.
These places have this, but in terms of like having it in the West, it's definitely from Hong Kong.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And you want to mention street food as well? Street food.
Please tell me.
So, street food, I have two that I think everyone should try as well. So,
no, like how is generally a street food culture in Hong Kong?
So, as I mentioned before, like we don't have food stalls on the road anymore. So actually, street food is now just a store that's on the side of the street, like as in like an actual shop on ground level. But then they don't usually provide seating. So what you order like it's already takeaway only, and you either eat it on the street or you take it back home. And what we can get there is like snacks. It's definitely not something that could like be a whole meal. It's just like something that to like cure your hunger for like an hour, like yeah. And it's like you usually get things that are in skews, so they like put them together. So let's say curry fish balls. This is one of them that's very popular. Curry fish ball.
Okay, one of the street foods of Hong Kong.
Yeah, one of the street foods, and another one will be siu mai. It's also fish, in some sense. It's yellow, and they have a fish stove that they steam and then they put into like skews again, and you have it with soy sauce and stuff.
Okay, so these are the two street foods, a very common street food.
Very common street food. It's very common.
Have you ever listened about pani puri?
I know.
Yeah.
What is that?
So you haven't listened about pani puri?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so so it's again pani puri. India has 28 states. I have told you this many times. India has 28 states. 28 states have different cultures of their own. So pani puri is something which is called in India. So in Mumbai side or the Maharashtra side or the West India, the East India it is called as puchka or something else, and the same dish is called as patashe in somewhere else. Okay, so that is how it is. So pani puri is the street food in India. There are a lot of street foods in India. Pani puri is just one of them, but one of the very famous ones, like you know how biryani is. So pani puri is, if I tell you in English, like I'll be getting a lot of backlash for the same. I'm telling you it in English. It is called as water balls.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly water balls. So it's a crunchy again puri, which I told you earlier. It is a bread that is different, and it's a ball kind of a thing. I'll show you sometime. So it's like it's a small puri. Okay, that's what I can tell you at the moment. So you crack that in between. You put some veggies in that. It may be It may be. I literally forgot. It may be some kind of veggies, and there is you know what's chutney, right?
Not quite.
Okay, it's a sauce kind of a thing.
Okay.
But chutney is itself a name. Okay, so green chutney is put in it. There is tamarind. You know what tamarind, right?
Also no.
Tamarind.
Is it like, what is it? Is it like an Indian dish as well?
No. Tamarind is tamarind is the English name. That's what I can tell. What?
So, what is that?
Kind of powder and ingredients, right? It's yellow,
Uh-huh.
right? Tamarind.
Uh-huh. Not
Didn't-
yellow. That is different. Okay.
Not
Anyways,
yellow?
I'll show
it's
it to
a
you
pa-
later.
okay.
So tamarind chutney is also put in it, and it's if you want it spicy, the maker can give you by making it spicy.
Okay.
And it's a one. So it's very much liked in India everywhere. So that's one of the street food. So it's a great thing that I'm explaining you. People would be like, oh, this is how you need to explain someone from outside about what it is. So that's one thing. So that's one of the street foods. So you can get it anywhere. Literally, if you go in cities, if you go anywhere outside, a vendor would be like keeping a stall of his small and would be giving that. So this, my point of this telling you to you is, you can go anywhere out there and find these kind of stalls to get street food.
I would say yes.
And except for these two dishes, what are the other menu lists on them?
So like, what else can you get?
Yeah.
Usually you can also get like, I'm not quite sure what's the right word for it, but it's cow's stomach.
Okay.
There's a word for it, but I forgot it. It's a cow's stomach, so you slice them and then these are cooked, and it's very, how do I say it? It's kind of, it's not really crunchy. It's more like, how do I put it? It's not mushy. It's the opposite of that.
Okay.
And you can have it in different flavors. You can have it in pure soy sauce. You can have it in curry. You can have it
So
in
that's a dish in
satay.
Hong Kong.
It's more like a street food.
Oh.
It's more like a street food. And you can also get another type of fish ball that's fried. And I'm not quite sure what the name is but then it's a different fish. So it's a very, they make it quite salty, I would say. And it's like a giant fish ball. It's kind of like the size of your like fist or something. And they fry that. And it's also a type of street food.
Oh, so fish is another type of street food in.
And not as in the whole fish, but then fish ball. Usually in some form of like mixed.
Okay.
Yeah.
In India, fish is not something which we have as a street food. In India, fish is more of a staple diet in some regions. And to be more precise, most of the coastal regions in India, India has a very big coastline. So in coastal regions in India, fish is a very staple diet. One of them is Kolkata or the Bengal on the other side of India, which is Maharashtra. Over there, the region is called as Konkan. So the Konkan side or the Konkan region has staple diet as fish. Generally, I haven't seen much of street food in India, which which has fish as a street food. It may be, but it's very less. Just I told you so that people from your country also might be watching this. So that's the thing. Anything else I have left behind and you want to add?
I think that's all.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's fine. I would ask you one favor.
Okay.
So after this episode might be released, there still might be more things which people want to ask. I would request you to answer the questions in the comments later when they put some comments they put their questions in comment. You are free to put some questions about, if you still need to ask something about Hong Kong which you feel I haven't asked to him, so that I'll ask him to reply it in comments. So that's how it would work. And I really thank you so much for coming and telling more about Hong Kong food and clearing some misconceptions. And that is how it was. I thank you to listening. Thank you for listening as well. Thank you, Alvin, for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We end the episode.